Welcome back.
So our job today really is to unpack those key ideas. Okay, let's jump in.
So right off the bat, it paints this picture of Nigeria,
Mm.
the giant of Africa, at a crossroads. Facing big challenges, sure, but also maybe on the verge of this transformative renaissance.
It really is. And using the word renaissance, that suggests something fundamental, a rebirth, not just fixing problems, a total revitalization.
Yeah, a whole new energy.
Hmm.
And this renewal idea, it's tied tightly to what the story calls the awakening of the Nigerian people. They're called the Aginarans in the narrative.
Hmm.
It talks about a collective realization of vast potential, like the whole nation is waking up to its own power.
So the change really comes from within the people themselves, according to the story, a shift in mindset maybe,
Yeah.
a belief in what's possible.
Seems like it. It's not external, it's internal.
Right, which leads neatly into this concept of an inner realm. This is where the allegory really kicks in.
It does. The kingdom of Aginarans, ruled by an emperor, apparently.
And protected by these figures called the fellow Niger Ninjas, FNNs for short, noble guardians.
Okay. And then there are the 37 prime Naija custodians,
Yeah,
representing different regions, you figure.
probably. And they form a council, the PNNC, focused on, well, governing this inner realm and boosting Nigeria's global standing.
So this inner realm,
Yeah.
what do you make of that in terms of what it represents for a real nation?
Well, it feels like a way to talk about the intangible stuff, the national spirit, shared values, the ideals that underpin everything.
Hmm.
The emperor and FNNs could be leadership, maybe, or the protectors of those core principles.
And the custodians and their council,
Hmm.
maybe emphasizing the need for unity, collaboration across all the different parts of Nigeria to achieve that global goal.
That makes a lot of sense. It's a metaphor for getting everyone on the same page.
Okay, but it's not all just ideals. The narrative brings in history, too. It connects the collapse of Nigeria's first republic to this inner realm awakening.
Right, suggesting that historical moment was some kind of trigger, a jolt to the national psyche.
So even a traumatic event from the past can spark this kind of internal shift.
That seems to be the argument, that facing up to past difficulties, even painful ones, can actually forge a stronger collective will down the line.
And then it gets even more symbolic. It talks about the emperor and the FNNs trapping malevolent ritualists.
Uh-huh. Agents of chaos buried alive, I think was the phrase.
Yeah. What do you think that represents? Symbolically overcoming dark forces.
Could be. Could be a metaphor for tackling things like corruption, divisive elements, maybe even just negative historical patterns that hold the country back.
So trapping them means containing those negative influences, neutralizing them.
That's how I read it. But crucially, the story says remnants of these dark forces continue to leave scars.
Ah, so it's not a clean break.
No, these
Oh.
remnants apparently cause disruptions in the inner realm, which then overshadows good things happening in the real world. It's
Okay. And there's another twist. This inner realm runs on a different clock.
Yeah, the heightened awareness there supposedly makes time run faster than in real-world Nigeria.
That's a curious detail. What could that be getting at? The speed of thought versus the speed of action?
Possibly, or maybe that changes in consciousness, in belief, can happen quite quickly on an internal level, even if the real-world changes take much longer to manifest. The internal shift comes first.
So the idea is that internal transformation drives the external progress.
Seems to be.
Huh.
Which clarifies the mission for the FNNs and the custodians.
Right. They need to heal the past.
Hmm.
Trace the origins of the shackles left by those dark forces.
And the way they connect this inner work to the real world is through something called MNASP.
MNASP. Described as a portal, a powerful theme.
The ultimate goal being that the vibrant consciousness of the Niger Kingdom actually shows up in reality.
So MNASP,
Mm-hmm.
what kind of real-world thing could that represent? A unifying national story, a shared vision.
Could be any of those. Or maybe a set of core principles everyone can get behind. It's the bridge, between the ideal of the inner realm and practical reality. It channels the potential into action.
Okay, so you need this unifying theme, MNASP,
Mm-hmm.
and then you need someone to champion it. Enter Ichek.
Right. Ichek has unique gifts and is the one who discovers MNASP.
But then, and this is significant, Ichek's essence merges with Chaik.
Yes, and Cenk is presented as this young, visionary, inclusive leader, really focused on national development.
So the mergings, what's the symbolism there?
Well, it strongly suggests you need both parts, doesn't it? You need the powerful vision, the unifying idea that's Ichek discovering MNASP. But you also need the effective, modern leader to actually implement it. That's Chaik. His style is described as youthful, inclusive, hinting at a break from the past, maybe.
Yeah, embracing new ways of doing things. And Chick isn't just thinking, he's doing,
Exactly. Actions. He launches a theater production celebrating Nigeria as the heart of the earth. Big symbolic potential there.
right? Boosting national pride, fostering that collective consciousness the awakening was about. And this play apparently outlines plans for Chike to potentially become prime minister, working within the existing presidential system.
So these aren't just random projects, they seem like concrete steps to make that MNES vision real. The theater builds the spirit. Project 9G provides a kind of roadmap for leadership and governance that fits the vision.
It all ties together.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the end message of the narrative.
Yeah, it wraps up with a strong call for a collective mission for greatness.
Nigeria is called the proud Brobdingnagian of Africa. That's a Gulliver's Travels reference, meaning huge, a giant.
Right. Standing at a crucial moment. And this renaissance, it stresses, isn't just up to leaders like Chike.
No, it's driven by the conscientious actions of all the Agenarians, every citizen.
Everyone has to be involved. That determination, that participation is what's needed to become this global power.
The future it envisions is Nigeria as a global giant, yes, but also a beacon of renewed hope and inspiration. Not just for itself, but for the world.
It's a powerful concluding message, isn't it, about empowerment, shared responsibility.
Definitely. It suggests that Nigeria's future hinges less on just external factors and more on the unified will and effort of its own people.
That beacon of hope idea is ambitious too, aiming not just for success at home, but to be an example globally.
So wrapping up this deep dive, we've really walked through a unique, symbolic take on Nigeria's challenges and potential. Very different from a standard report.
Absolutely. As we went through it, what parts of this whole metaphorical Renaissance idea really stood out to you? Any symbols or concepts that particularly resonated?
That's a good question to reflect on. And it leads right into our final thought for everyone listening today. Considering how this narrative emphasizes a shared vision and symbolically overcoming the past, how important do you think a genuinely unified sense of national purpose actually is for real-world change in any country?
Yeah. How much power do these shared stories, these collective beliefs, actually have in shaping where a nation goes next? Something to think about.